Welcome back. We've all seen faith and power intersect in, well, complicated ways. Today we're really digging into a tough question.
Yeah, it's about why certain Christian communities seem to repeatedly um, enthusiastically support figures that many others see as authoritarian, or at least morally compromised.
Right. And our sources today push us towards a really challenging comparison.
They do. We're basically putting the German church's support for Hitler in the 1930s side by side with American evangelical support for Donald Trump starting around 2016. Our mission here is to try and understand the common threads, if any.
Okay, so that comparison, that's the core idea from the sources, right? That this isn't just about policies.
Exactly. The argument is it's often fueled by cultural nationalism, this feeling that the leader offers some kind of moral protection.
And maybe even the sources suggest a kind of spiritual vulnerability. They bring in Max Weber's idea of charismatic authority.
Right, the leader as a sort of savior figure.
Yeah.
And they connect that to, well, a biblical concept from 2 Thessalonians about a strong delusion.
The idea being, if a community feels it's losing its moral footing, it becomes more open to a strong personality.
That's the framework presented. So let's look back historically first. Germany in 1933, it was overwhelmingly Christian, like 95%.
Wow.
And Hitler, he was smart. He tapped right into conservative Christian fears about moral decline, about economic collapse. He positioned himself as the guy to restore order.
And it wasn't just tacit support. There was an active movement, wasn't there? The German Christians.
Oh, absolutely. Huge group. Grew to over 600,000 members. They actively blended Nazi ideology with their faith, promoting this thing called positive Christianity.
Which was essentially Christianity aligned with Aryan supremacy.
Yeah.
We should note, though, there was resistance.
Definitely. The confessing church, for instance.
Yeah.
But they were really up against a powerful tide of nationalism within the church itself.
Okay, so let's shift to the contemporary case. American evangelicals and Trump.
Again, the sources point to them as a core base. 81% support in 2016. And that loyalty often comes down to perceived alignment on key issues.
Like abortion, religious liberty, those are the big ones mentioned.
Right, but the sources argue there's a deeper dynamic, this idea of Christian nationalism.
That's where the Cyrus figure analogy comes in for the book of Isaiah.
Exactly. The idea that Trump, even if not seen as personally devout by some, is like a non-believing king appointed by God to sort of restore America as a Christian nation.
So policy goals and this sense of divine purpose tend to overshadow other concerns, like rhetoric, the sources point out, calling opponents vermin.
That's the argument being made. And this is where the structural parallels become, well, pretty stark, according to the analysis.
Also, what are the specific parallels the sources draw beyond just supporting a leader?
Well, both leaders rose during times of perceived crisis. Economic disaster in Germany, deep cultural division in the U.S. Both used religious language, perhaps symbolically, to appeal to those anxieties about moral order.
And the key comparison point is overlooking flaws.
It seems to be. Overlooking serious ethical issues, whether it was virulent anti-Semitism then, or maybe controversial rhetoric and actions now, all in favor of perceived cultural protection or policy wins.
The sources use a really potent phrase for this: clay iron alliances, from the book of Daniel.
Yes, symbolizing these unions of faith and raw political power as being inherently fragile, unstable, yet potentially oppressive while they last.
So what are the consequences? When faith communities or parts of them endorse these kinds of leaders, what's the impact?
Temporarily, the sources warn, it erodes democratic norms and institutions. Church silence, or worse, complicity in the past, had horrific outcomes. Today, the concern is normalizing executive overreach, maybe damaging democratic foundations.
And theologically, within the faith itself.
It's incredibly damaging, the sources say. It fractures communities, can create cults of personality around leaders, and really undermines the church's credibility, its ability to speak truth to power.
It's a stark warning then about the dangers when fear, cultural anxiety, and maybe that strong delusion idea lead to endorsing authoritarians. It risks the very integrity of the faith itself.
Exactly. Which leads us to the final thought we want to leave you, the listener, with. It's drawn from the source material's own reflections. If you find yourself supporting a powerful figure today, believing they are your shield, how would your faith actually hold up if that leader's promises crumble? If it turns out the foundation wasn't the rock, but maybe just sand? That's something worth reflecting on.